Get the thumb in.
Hey, everybody. We are live and up close and personal. I'm Dr. Christopher Vogelmann with the lovely, talented, and super informative Monika Klein, whom I call the nutritionist to the stars, because she was in West Hollywood for quite some time.
Well, never in West Hollywood, actually.
I thought you had a West Hollywood office. You told me you had a West Hollywood office.
No, never in West Hollywood.
So you lied to
me. I was in Beverly Hills. And I was
Beverly Hills. Well.
But never West Hollywood, although West Hollywood's kind of close to Beverly Hills. So no, Malibu, Beverly Hills,
Malibu,
Santa Monica.
You were in the boo. Did you choose Santa Monica because of the name Monica?
Why not? Why? Yes, of course.
Of course you were.
No, it chose me actually. So
you create your own walk of fame.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to check to see some things. We're going to talk about immunity and sleep and all good things.
We're going to talk about immune health.
So Big Chewy isn't here today.
Big Chewy's taking a break.
Big Chewy took a break.
Big Chewy will be our mascot, actually.
Big Chewy is great. In fact,
for those of you who weren't on the last Facebook Live, Big Chewy is a very large what is it? Butternut squash.
Butternut squash, yes.
What is he? He is now.
How do you know it's a male?
Big Chewy.
Big Chewy.
I don't think a woman would be called, or a female would be called Big Chewy.
Called Big Chewy.
Just don't think that.
Don't. I thought it was a Star Wars reference at first. It was Chewie and Han Solo. But
no, it was right on the label. Right on the label.
Labeled for your convenience.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw in a link to people if anybody wants to come in later to talk directly to us. And let's get rocking.
So we're going to talk about immune health, sort of 101. Immune health 101. We're going to talk about sleep, some essential supplements that are important for immune health. We're going to talk about stress management and a few other things. So sleep, of course, number one, so underrated. We live in a society that just prides itself on no sleep. The less sleep you have, the harder you work. The less sleep you have, the more you will accomplish.
You can party till dawn.
Yeah, so that is not good. I call this vitamin S. Have called it vitamin S for years and years and years. So you have to get your vitamin S. It's so important. There are a couple of supplements that help with that, magnesium and melatonin. Melatonin doesn't work for everyone, but melatonin can be a good additive. No, not additive. Something to add to your sleep time.
Supplement.
Sleep health. Yes. Supplement. That's the word. Yes. I also find sometimes people tell me about cramps. They cramp in the middle of the night, their feet cramp. Yeah. And usually that's hydration. Yes. And we talk about hydration, and that's an important thing too. But we don't want to hydrate, too soon to bedtime, towards bedtime, because then we'll be getting up to use the bathroom too often.
It's free to pee, you and me.
Yeah, that. But I often recommend potassium for cramping. However, if you are taking any kind of blood pressure medication, please do not take any magnesium at all. Not magnesium, I mean potassium.
I was going to say, I always recommend magnesium glycinate to people who are chelated magnesium. Yeah. Potassium.
Yeah, I find it very effective. I have put a lot of people on it during their and I'm not promoting one single brand. This is just the brand that I happen to have right now, but this is really helpful. And I often put people on this during one of my weight loss detox programs, because oftentimes there will be an electrolyte imbalance. As people start changing their food habits, things change. And, if you're not drinking enough water, you'll certainly have an electrolyte imbalance as well. So that's one thing. Another thing that we've talked about before is, have we talked? Yes, I think we have talked about it. It's getting rid of blue light, not having your computer on, not having your phone or TV on an hour to 2 hours before bedtime.
True.
You want to shut out.
But you can also shift the light.
Yeah, but
to a yellow spectrum. Yeah.
even still, I have this great, I have to learn how to like position these things so people can see.
It's pretty good. You go a little higher,
Uh,
closer, closer,
okay,
closer.
here we go.
Is that like the
They're
blue blockers?
available.
Are they blue
Yeah,
blockers?
these are blue blockers.
Ah.
And so I use that. I bought these and I just put them on my glasses.
Oh, okay.
You know, I just sort of hoist them on my glasses when I'm watching TV at night.
No blue for you.
Now you look very amber. I know you
I look
look
very amber.
orange. Like
I've been playing with my light. If I open up the window a little bit more, I look like Casper the Friendly Ghost. If I close it off too much, I turn yellow.
Well, you totally look orange right now with these on. So they basically go over your glasses here, and that will help you shut out the blue light, and the blue light disturbs your something called the circadian rhythm. So that's your sleep-wake cycle. So we want to be able to, shut that light out. Dark room, cool room, very important for sleep.
How cool is that room?
I don't know.
62, 70,
60, 50,
50 is dang cold. I once had my house at 55. It was 54 at night, and I kept waking up because I was too cold, even with 2 comforters.
Well, just add more blankets or more flannels or something like that. It's better to have a colder room. We never in the winter have our heat on at night, never. So better to cover up, better to, wear some extra flannels or sometimes a t-shirt, sweatshirt if you are warm.
Ski mask.
Yeah, I guess you could use that now because, if you don't have a regular mask, you could use that. And that's something I thought about today when my husband was going to dialysis, because we're all wearing masks. He's wearing a mask. I'm wearing a mask. The driver who picks him up is wearing a mask. And as it's supposed to be really hot this week. And, I think 90 in some parts.
We're only going to be in the 80s because we're like 6 blocks from the water. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think it's going to be 90 here, but in some parts of LA County, it's going to be warm. Yeah. And so these masks, they get a little warm, but we have to do this.
And we wash them regularly too. After each time we're out, another mask gets washed.
Yeah, we have surgical masks here. So we can't wash them, and we do have to reuse them, unfortunately, because there is such a shortage. But the minute my husband gets to his dialysis, they give him a new one. So that's a good thing. So I don't know. That was a little aside about masks, and we're doing these twice a week, these calls, and we do have an agenda, but every once in a while we will talk about other things that are very pertinent to this time. Would you agree, Christopher? That's what we're doing.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what we're doing. So immune health, very important. A lot of people are wanting to know, what can I do to improve my immune health, my immune system? So sleep, number one, I'd say number one.
Yeah, because sleep, my phrase that I had, actually, I used to own a domain name with the same thing that said sleep heals. I sold that one off, but Sleep Heals was the domain name because I thought sleep was so incredibly important that people need to set things up just right so they get a good sound sleep. And, some people talk about having a glass of wine before they go to sleep. It's okay. There's a little controversy that 2 glasses is probably going to give you a very non-restful night of sleep.
It's disruptive. It is disruptive. Yeah. I mean, initially it's not. It's relaxes you. But I remember hearing it said that it actually increases serotonin levels initially, but then you've got other biochemical factors come into play as it's being processed in the liver. So, it is not the best thing for sleep. It'll knock you out perhaps a little bit. In fact, it can disrupt your sleep.
There are some studies that actually show a single glass of wine or a half a glass actually is okay in terms of your circadian rhythm. So it depends on whose study are you looking at and what has been your own personal experience. Do you feel refreshed and restored the next morning when you wake up, or you're feeling groggy?
Well, I mean, my research and my own experience is that most people do feel groggy.
Yeah.
It's going to have an effect, but it's not a sleep. Um, it's not a sleep aid.
I would say melatonin for some people would be there. Or I used to just give patients a dose of magnesium glycinate before bedtime. And they'd
Yeah,
zonk out.
magnesium's great too. It relaxes.
Zonk right out.
Yeah, it relaxes. I know I've spoken about a product called Stress Arrest, and it's a Designs for Health product that I like using, and it's usually for this. Excuse me, I'm still here.
Where are you?
I'm right here.
I only saw hair.
I don't recommend it to everyone, but I call it the chill pill. And it's usually, my recommendation is usually when someone has this repetitive thinking cycle going on. And what this tends to do is it kind of calms that down. It calms that down. It calms down your muscles and relaxes your muscles, similar to how what magnesium does. But it also calms down that repetitive thinking cycle.
So if you have OCD, the chill pill's for me.
I wouldn't specifically say it's for.
Okay.
There is GABA in it, and so there's a warning here. If you're if you do have OCD or you're taking gabapentin or something like that, you want to be careful. But for most people who are just taking supplements,
it's basically it's okay. It's a GABA dabba do.
Well, I actually take it just before having an MRI. I tend to be a little claustrophobic.
You don't like that boom, 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 boom.
Well, I actually have a whole system now.
Wow.
I have to have headphones. I have to have a towel right over my eye and the headphones over it. So I don't see anything peripherally, as well as hear anything. And then I take magnesium. I take my Stress Arrest. And that relieves me of any, so I don't have to take any Xanax or any, Valium or anything like that, which I've tried twice. And the Xanax just knocked me out for like the rest of the day. So I am not a good,
not a good pill popper when it comes
to good pill popper. Supplements do work. I mean, supplements do work. They can be therapeutically used for various issues, of course.
Well, food is the best medicine. People take that at least 3 times.
Best medicine. Food is the best medicine. So is laughter, and so is food. Laughter, food, and the right kind of food. So it's not all food. So poor sleep has been linked to heart disease, diabetes, obesity. Mm-hmm. So, and we're talking a lot about how people having with those types of
disruptions
processes. At this time during the COVID outbreak, very vulnerable. So we want to get people sleeping. Everybody should sleep. It's the perfect time to sleep.
Please sleep, but not right during this broadcast.
No, do not
unless
sleep.
We are so relaxing to you.
And you want to have a sleep schedule. You actually want to have a sleep schedule. So
that's super true. And I've seen that with our 12-year-old too. If he gets off of his sleep schedule, the next day is he's not nearly as well functioning as he is if he gets to bed at the regular time.
And what we're seeing too is that it's more important that you get up at the same time, because it will help with your sleep wake cycle. But yeah, try and you look at Ayurvedic medicine, which is the medicine of India. They talk often about 10 p.m., wake up at 6 a.m., 10 p.m., 6 a.m. Those are in rhythm with the natural cycles of the earth, of the sun, of the moon. So not all season long, but that's generally what they say, what they recommend. Just as they recommend eating times are between 10 a.m., like lunch primarily, 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. That should be your biggest meal. So they really honor the natural cycles of the earth. And,
it's interesting because in traditional Chinese medicine, I remember more of a 12 to 2 thing. So I guess the Ayurvedic and traditional Chinese medicine sometimes diverge slightly, but they're basically at the same general time of day.
Yeah, when the sun is at its height,
Yeah.
When the sun is at its, like it's the hottest and it's the highest and it's the most effective. And that too is when your digestive system is, the heat in the digestive system can break down the foods more readily. That's the philosophy anyway.
Right.
So that is really important. We want to be able to really enhance our sleep. And you were going to say something?
I was going to say, because we've noticed also sometimes even taking a tea to relax, an herbal tea at nighttime, can cause you to wake up during the middle of the night and make your bathroom break, and that can break your cycle of.
Yeah.
It depends on the type of herbal tea too. They're not all created equal.
Well, it's the liquid. It's not necessarily the herbs, but that.
Yeah, but I've seen.
Have you seen something different?
I've seen it happen with chamomile tea. I've seen it happen with a couple others where they just sort of disrupt the sleep cycle more than a glass of water. Very interesting.
Right. So no, that's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing. I think, and I mean, it's the liquid. It's not necessarily the herb inside of it. That if you're going to be drinking so close to bedtime, it's going to just, it's going to cause you to get up and go to the bathroom. Usually, I mean, I'm not going to say 100%, but usually it does. So that's going to affect your sleeping. Are we in agreement here?
Somewhat.
Doctor,
we agree to disagree when it comes to some herbal tea.
Okay,
we'll take this offline later.
But are you saying that like chamomile will help you sleep better?
For some people, yeah, definitely will help them sleep better because it's just a very calming type of tea. But what we have found anecdotally through several people is that it can also sometimes interfere with your sleep, with the urination more than plain water. That's all I'm going to
say. I'm agreeing with you.
Oh, well, heck.
I am agreeing with you. High
five. Thank God.
High five on that one. Okay, so back to vitamin D.
What are we doing?
We're talking about vitamin D now. We're talking about the immune system.
Not vitamin S, vitamin D.
We're on to vitamin D now. We sort of explored vitamin S just as much as we can today because we are here for a short time. So vitamin D, my recommendation, of course, sunshine is the best source. Early in the morning usually is the best time to get your dose of vitamin D. Now, supplementally, usually D3 is the supplement that we recommend, and usually their dosage is 5,000.
5,000 is right. Yep.
And I just heard a physician, I think they're a little more conservative. Many, not all physicians are a little more conservative with their recommendations, but usually for immune health and bone health, of course, 5,000 IUs.
Yeah.
That's what's recommended. And
you see so many supplements, though, that are only 400 or 1,000. And people think, oh, well, I'm getting my vitamin D, but it may be insufficient.
I had a client who her blood work showed that she was low in vitamin D. Her physician put her on vitamin D, D3, I think it was 400 units or something like that. Small, maybe it was 1,000. And I kept telling her, I think you need to go up to 5,000, months. And then finally her physician said, I think you need to go up to 5,000. So, okay. So now her levels are good. So, so that is something that's now. Here's another thing: what foods are good? Are a good source of vitamin D? Egg yolks, beef liver.
Yes, I love my beef liver, but very few people like it around here.
Yeah, I know beef pate. I guess you could get it in that source, but beef also
pate,
also fat. Yeah, I don't think beef pate is really that common, is it?
No, it's more goose liver pate. Yeah.
Well, goose liver. I wonder if goose liver has enough.
Yeah, there should be enough, but I mean, but most people would not be supplementing with pate.
No. Okay. So foods. Okay. We got to look at the fattier fish.
Yes.
Like mackerel, halibut, tuna, salmon, of course. Yes. And steelhead trout sometimes looks like salmon. And it's delicious.
Yeah. It's got that strange looking head.
Yes. So these are really good sources, and that's so important for immune health. Anything you want to add to that?
Fatty stuff.
I
Well,
think,
there's some concerns. I would say, fish in general is a better source. We start getting into omega threes and stuff. People start talking about flaxseed oil and all, but I mean, most studies have more to do with fish oils than they ever had to do with flaxseed. But I know some
right.
people
We're talking about
prefer to.
vitamin D right now.
Yeah, so vitamin D, you're still going to find them in some seeds, for example.
Yeah,
So,
it's not the best source. I
no.
mean, essentially the sources that egg yolks, of course, more so than egg whites. But I always say, these eggs were made together, whites and yolks, and they
Yes,
are
we believe
important to
in
have together. Did I lose you for a moment?
integration. Yes, we believe in integration. We don't believe in separation.
Yolks and whites together. Yolks and white together. Now, zinc. I know you brought up zinc a little while
I do
ago.
like zinc.
Like zinc picolinate, and
Yes.
then food sources of good zinc. I mean, this is also an immune enhancer. Meat, of course, shellfish, legumes, nuts and seeds. Here's nuts and seeds, and eggs.
Yep.
A whole
And eggs are so much maligned as being, oh, it's high cholesterol. It's this or that. The reality is there haven't been any studies which show definitively that dietary cholesterol directly relates to blood lipids, to blood cholesterol.
I think that's been debunked already,
Yeah.
and that's old news
But
about.
so many people, every
Still
time
think
I
it.
had a patient coming in, would just even 2 years ago would still be saying this.
So many
But
people still think it.
yeah, it's something that has become a common health myth.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is, and so we're here to say no. It's not
Just
so.
say yes to eggs.
Yes, just say yes to eggs.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So also hydrotherapy has been discussed, hot and cold showers, alternating.
I thought you were going to talk about hydrotherapy to boost your zinc levels.
No, we're moving on.
We're moving on. Okay, good.
Did you want to say anything more about zinc?
No, I'll just, I do think that supplementation of zinc is important. Sardines are a great source of zinc. Most people don't recognize that. And it's one of those fish.
Good oils.
Yeah, the oil. And the funny thing about it is it's a fish that is sustainable. They're not overfishing sardines. They just continue to multiply abundantly in the ocean. But a lot of people don't like them. I mean, my dad used to give us sardine sandwiches sometimes, and I was the only one who would eat them with him. So
yeah, I do not like sardines, but I have clients who love them, and I'm like, good for you. I wish I did, right?
Yeah, I do not eat green eggs and ham. I do not like them.
You do not like it. We always promise a very lively conversation about how
okay.
We're really hoping that now we're going to talk about another immune enhancer.
Hydrotherapy.
Well, yeah, hydrotherapy. So hot and cold showers can help. This is not recommended for people who are diabetic and suffer from neuropathy, because sometimes they can't tell how hot the water is.
Exactly. Yeah.
So their extremities, primarily in their feet. So there's a caveat with this, but like a little bit of hot and cold would really be energizing for you, and immune enhancing, and also good for your circulation as well.
Sometimes also to break the stress of things. I know that several people had recommended over the years, this might also have been in Chinese medicine when I took acupuncture classes, putting your wrists under cold water. That can really change your state very quickly. Yeah. Very interesting.
Is that for immune?
It's just in general for reducing stress and emotional upset and overwhelm and things like that. It just sort of, the cold on your wrist just suddenly sort of breaks your concentration in a particular neural pathway, and so it creates that little bit of a disruption. I mean, it would be like having plunging into an ice water or something that's going to just shake you out of your stupor. So.
Well, I think it's great if you live by the ocean to still be able to jump in there in the morning. I mean, it's never really,
and it's cold. Yeah, it's cold enough on this coast. Whereas if you're on the East Coast, you get that warm Caribbean current coming up. Where we get the Japan current coming all the way down from Alaska, and so
the Japan, or is it the Canadian?
We call it the Japan current.
Yeah. So That is good. That is good. So, and finally, I want to talk about stress management. So it is definitely helpful for the immune system.
Yes.
Meditation, yoga, restorative yoga, not heavy duty,
Not necessarily hot yoga.
ashtanga, as we call it.
Oui. Yeah.
No, not hot yoga. No, that's a little more depleting. I've never been a big fan, and I've been doing yoga probably off and on for 30 years. So never been a big fan of hot yoga, but there are some that love it. So,
Yep.
but yeah, so restorative poses,
Mhm.
lying on your back on the floor with your legs up on a chair, on the seat of the chair,
Yep.
in that position for a while. That's very nurturing and nourishing to your body, and just really is wonderful for relaxation.
Now, my father used to have. He said more than one of these things. The inversion tables, and
Yeah,
so he would
same
go
idea.
into he would go slightly, but a lot of times he would just go completely upside down. In his later years, in his late 80s, he would go partially down.
Mhm.
But that was really interesting to watch him do that, and I used to strap my ankles into there and do that periodically. And it was, I mean, literally such a head rush.
Yeah. I actually have a zero gravity chair, which
Hmm.
is somewhat similar. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't go all the way back, but it
Yeah.
is really relaxing. I do actually do most of my meditation on it.
Yeah.
So I've been doing transcendental meditation since I think
Well,
1995.
yeah, and that does actually also help to restore in terms of the spine. It helps to increase the hydration of your discs, which then will decrease the pressure on the spinal nerves, which then also helps you to feel less stressed and fewer aches and pains. So,
Well, that's one of the reasons I got it, because
yeah.
I had a herniated disc,
Hmm.
L5, and so I've been using it, and it's been extremely helpful. So
Yeah.
that's wonderful. So there's meditation, there's journaling. I love journaling, and get it helps to ease your mind and to get out of your head. You just put it down all on paper and then let it go. Or it
Let it
helps to
go.
organize you as well.
Let it go. Yeah, actually, if you put things down on paper before you go to sleep the night before, it does really clear your mind. I mean, at the same time, though, people have thought of a problem and gone to sleep and then wake up with the solution in the morning, or at least a new idea or a new perspective on it. But if you have a list of things to do that can be somewhat overwhelming, just writing them down before you go to sleep, not necessarily immediately before, but perhaps an hour before, is very helpful at clearing your mind so that you can actually have a restorative sleep instead of fidgeting all through the night.
Yeah, so it could definitely help your sleep cycle as well. So I have found that sometimes when I cannot fall asleep, and I just get up and I write it all down, like even in the middle of the night, sometimes I've had to do
That
that.
can be very helpful too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done those 2 a.m., 4 a.m. things where I just write something, or I'll type something, only because I don't always have the paper readily available. But I really need to do that, is put the paper next to the bed.
Yeah, there are some studies saying that it's better to pen, like hand, using your hand,
Yeah.
and rather than typing, because there's
It deepens the connection through your neurology.
yeah, it's a physiological connection. So I am a big fan of journaling. I journal. My journal is my life book. I call it my life book. I put everything. It's not just like your diary, what you did for the day.
Do you have your shopping list in there?
I have shopping lists. I have to-do lists. I have poetry in there. I've got my dreams in there. I've got an article that I'm going to write. I draft it. I just use it for everything. And I know most people in my practice, I have been a big fan and recommended it all the time. And there is just some people that just don't resonate with it. And so that's fine. Find something that will help you manage your stress. One of these things that we've suggested. And of course, there's prayer. You can't underestimate the effectiveness of prayer. And a lot of people don't pray, or they associate, there's too much connection with prayer, and they may not resonate with that either. So you know.
Well, and some people prey on other people, but that's a different story. So,
Yes, that's a totally different story. And we don't even, that would not be
no.
stress management at all.
That would be stress
Douche
increasing.
induction.
Yeah.
Stress induction. Yeah. So I think those are basics. We're talking about basics here.
Become brilliant at basics.
Brilliant.
And when you talk about journaling too, journaling also reminds me of the weight loss clinic that I had when I was back in Washington, D.C. And the thing that we always recommended was doing food journaling, which I know you recommend in your book. It was the Skinny Jeans Blueprint, was it? Or the Skinny Jeans Diet?
Lifestyle is
lifestyle.
my book.
It was a lifestyle, not just a blueprint.
Yeah.
And
not a diet either.
No, well, our diet is what we eat every single day.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, we know that that's the real meaning of the word diet, but most people,
they think of it as restricted.
World,
but I was thinking that especially as we are in a stay-at-home state of mind and state of function, that for some people, keeping a food journal would be particularly revealing as we grab our second Oreo, or we realize that, a bag of chips has just disappeared, to avoid what we refer to as the COVID-19, which would be the 19 pounds that the average person will have gained at the end of all this.
Yeah, I mean, food journaling is always a great thing. Whether you want to do it now to torture yourself, I don't know.
I don't know if it's torture. I mean, look, today I was listening to one of your audios, the MP3, when you sent to me, and it was something about, I have planned my cheat day. It's going to be my birthday. I plan on having cake. I plan on having a glass of wine, not a bottle of wine.
Yes.
And so, but that could be valuable, even if it's just to monitor what your alcohol consumption is, because we've seen that there's been a 50% or more increase in alcohol purchases since all this has been coming about the last 4 to 6 weeks.
Ultimately, a food journal is an excellent idea. And
or meal planning too, so that you can actually plan out what you're going to be eating as opposed to just grabbing something at the last minute.
And you can see some of your patterns as well. And planning, I mean, there's so many things we can't plan for right now, but your food, for the most part, depending on availability.
For the most part. And if you have this delivered, there may be things that are substituted, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's 2 big Chewies that came in this week.
And planning helps you have some sort of sense of control.
Yeah.
And so, we really don't have very much control right now of so many things. And so this is like a safety net. I've always talked about this food journal as a safety net. It kind of makes you feel calmer. And if you want to talk about immune enhancing, it will help you. It'll give you a sense of it'll give you a sense of where you're at, what you can eat.
You can track your sugar consumption a little more easily if you're honest with yourself.
Right.
Sugar will depress the immune system. There's no doubt.
Exactly. We didn't talk about that, but yes, sugar definitely will. It sort of fights with vitamin C. Yeah. Who's going to win? Hopefully vitamin C will win, because that's a much more immune enhancing.
People used to, I remember back in the 70s and 80s, they used to refer to sugar as the white death. I was like, wow, okay, I guess I don't want the white death.
and I think maybe we should talk about sugar more.
Yeah, sugar would be another topic of another day.
Let's talk maybe about that on Friday. We can talk about all of the things, all the hidden sugars, the types of sugars, that kind of thing. We can talk about that then.
We'll talk sugar. Oh, honey, honey.
But I wanted to say, there's something you were saying about food journaling.
Food journaling gives you a sense of control. You can track what your sugar is.
There was something I was going to say, but
another day.
On.
Hold on.
Yes.
I'm holding.
But I think we've covered a few things that you might be able to do in the next few days and enjoy your greater immune system.
And if you have any, wait a minute. Oh, okay. I just got a message from the powers that be here in the household. So,
what did they say?
They said, honey, honey. Da, 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 da.
Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet.
Oh, my candy girl.
Very sweet.
All right. So,
and with that, we were talking more about sweetness on Friday, right?
Yeah, let's talk about sweetness. Sweetness. Wasn't that Walter Payton? Yeah, he was called Sweetness. You would know. American football. You're Canadian, eh?
Oh,
You're from the CFL.
yeah, but they're all celebrities. We hear
The
about
Winnipeg,
it.
the Winnipeg
The Winnipeg Connection.
Connection. No, I was thinking of
Oh, Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
the Rough Riders and the
No,
Blue
the Blue
Bombers
Bombers.
and
Blue
the
Bombers.
Winnipeg
Yes,
Blue Bombers.
the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I
We
think
just don't hear enough about the Blue Bombers anymore.
well, I don't think you hear enough about what's going on.
I was thinking the Winnipeg Jets, but that's hockey.
That's hockey. Yes, that was
hockey
Bobby
night
Brown.
in Canada.
Yeah, hockey night in Canada. We had it on. I grew up with 4 brothers and 5 males, including my dad, in the house, and they wanted to play. They wanted to watch hockey.
Of
so
course.
it was a battle.
And in Buffalo, we were sort of honorary Canadians, and we got
Yes,
the Canadian television all the time. So
yeah, that's good.
It's deluged with ads from we were deluged with ads for Molson. So
Wilson, yeah.
Molson, yeah. All right, so we have finished with alcohol, stress management, food,
And we end on Molson.
hydration, all these other wonderful things, and we'll be back on Friday to talk sugar.
Sugar. Okay, bye.
Right.
See you
See
then.
you later. Arriva, if I had the button. Yes, push the button to get out of here. Bye-bye.